maybe. I'm on now. Hello. Hey, hope everybody can hear me here. Welcome to my kitchen. Please like, share, and subscribe. Tonight we are going to do a paddle cactus and shrimp stir fry. I tried to do this last night, and unfortunately I had problems with the video on my phone. So apparently horizontal doesn't work too well, but let's go ahead and get started here. All right, we're going to come over here to our surface. I have everything prepared. We will talk a little bit about prepping the paddle cactus, but to start, I have some olive oil in the frying pan over here. Let's see, I'm pretty sure you can see that. And the paddle cactus has been soaking in some salted water, and that's because it's a lot like aloe. See that stringy stuff? That's actually gel coming out of it. So when you're working with these paddle cactus, you have to be really careful with them because even though they look just like green paddles, if you look really closely, those things that look like dots, there's a whole bunch of thorns in there. And if you touch those with your hands, you will end up with a whole bunch of thorns in you. So we don't want to do that. I think the first few times I worked with paddle cactus, I got stuck by those things. And then once I got used to working with them, it stopped being a problem just because I learned how to work with them. Turn this on medium heat. And when you're doing these stir fries, you want to actually start by cooking the things that take the longest to cook first, which is going to be the paddle cactus. But just to let you know how, sorry about that. There we go. Just to let you know how I handle these things, I use these big tongs and I use a parer here. So what I do is I grab the can't talk tonight. I grab the cactus with this and I just go like this and I peel it. And that is a great way to get the outer skin off, which you want to get off along with the thorns. And I recommend using a flat paddle. If they're all curvy, you don't get a very good, it's harder to get a good connection to get the skin and the thorns off. So definitely try to get a flat paddle. And let's just take a look at this so you can see how it's looking in here. And you want to use a younger paddle, like a newly formed paddle. You don't want it to be super thin, but you don't want to use the old thick ones either, because those old thick ones, the veins that are in them are like shards of glass. So I tried making pickles with those once and it was just didn't work out too well. Speaking of which, we probably actually will try making some pickles this summer. And I've made two types of pickles with the paddle cactus before. And this is the Opportunia species of paddle cactus, also called pear cactus. I made the sweet pickles and I made the savory pickles. And I think the savory ones are the best. I have used the sweet ones, say like if you want to mix it with tuna fish to make a tuna fish sandwich, that kind of thing. But I find that somehow the sugar mixture enhances any gel that might come out of the cactus. When you make the pear cactus pickles, you have to soak them in the salted water for a while. But for some reason, the savory ones that are more vinegary and dill-like, those don't have any gel coming out of the cactus paddle. So they're just more, I don't know, more enjoyable to eat. Nobody wants to eat slime, right? So that's my advice on that. So when I'm cooking with these paddle cactus, I like to add garlic and onions. So let's go ahead and put those in here now. I'm going to turn this up a little bit higher. These paddle cactus, when you cook with them, they're going to have a flavor a lot like bell peppers. So that's pretty cool. It's really easy to start paddle cactus. We started with one big one and it grew pretty quickly. And I just kept taking pads off. And literally all you have to do is, but they root super easy. So now we probably have 10 of those things going. So part of my cooking plan includes using more cactus paddles in our food. They're also really nutritious. I'll have to see if I can add a link in the description of this video after the fact with nutrition facts on cactus. The one thing to add is be sure you cook your paddle cactus. Do not eat them raw. The enzyme action in those, if you eat them raw, it'll make you have to use the restroom a lot and you'll become very dehydrated. That's happened to people that have been stranded in the desert before. They've eaten the paddle cactus to try to survive and they've actually ended up hospitalized. So just make sure you cook your paddle cactus. Now, with aloe vera, you also want to peel the outside even though it doesn't have thorns. But with aloe vera, you can actually have small amounts of that raw. And I only put those in smoothies. But with paddle cactus, always cook them. All right, so let's go ahead and add our celery in here. And we have some kale. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I totally forgot to make the quinoa. Well, we can remedy that pretty fast. Let's go get it. Can you believe I forgot to make the quinoa? It's on. That's what happens when you're trying to do too many things at once. It's really easy to forget something, but it is not too late here. Let's turn this down a little bit. Thankfully, quinoa doesn't take that long to cook. You could use rice. You could even use pasta if you want. You could even use zoodles, noodles made by squash or from squash. So what I have for seasoning here, I have some fresh squeezed orange juice. It's about 4 ounces. And I have a cherry chili sauce. And if you go to my videos, there's actually a video telling you how to make this stuff. It's super amazing. So we've added our orange juice. We're going to add a little butter. That butter melted. And we have some shrimp here. This is a 1620 shrimp. So I usually wait until after I have the quinoa in to add in the chili sauce. I like to start with cooking the shrimp with the butter and the orange juice in with the stir-fried vegetables. Do you have any comments out there? Let me see. Doesn't look like we have any right now. There aren't a whole lot of edible things that just really eat flour and paddle cactus. Where I'm from in Alaska, there's a whole host of things out there growing in the woods. Well, I'm really sorry I forgot to put that quinoa on because that's going to make this take a little bit longer. If that quinoa had been prepared, you literally could do this in 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down to low now so we don't overcook our shrimp. Shrimp really doesn't take a whole lot in the way of cooking. You can see how this is looking right now. It's going to be fabulous once we add the quinoa in and our chili sauce. So another project we're working on, we are making what's called a rib skirt, and got a lot done on it. We put the backs and the fronts together, the pocket, and we're down to doing the waistband and hemming the skirt. I don't know if I'm going to have time to work on that tonight or not. I might have to pick back up on that tomorrow for anybody who is interested in making their own rib skirt. This will end up being the pot that never cooked or never boiled, right? Only because we're trying to hurry up and get it going. Definitely going to be hungry for this. This is super delicious to eat. So how many of you are starting seeds for your garden right now? I'm really into gardening, which is a lot more challenging here living in the desert than it was in Alaska. And that's really hard to believe, I know, but it's true. And what I've learned from this is it takes time when you move to adapt to a new climate, to learn what grows, and you just grow what grows where you're at. So, for example, in Alaska, I couldn't grow fruit trees, but here I can grow fruit trees. And other things that grow really well here are spaghetti squash, eggplants, hot peppers, tomatillos, onions, garlic, herbs. I know some people that have grown melons. I haven't had too much luck with those. Sometimes you have combat with the local wildlife when you're growing things. Artichokes grow great here. Fennel grows really good over the winter. You actually have two growing seasons. You have a growing season that's in the wintertime here, where more cruciferous and root vegetables do really well. And then you have the summer season. And I haven't had that much luck with my tomatoes, but I'm going to try putting them in another location in my garden this year. I find that you have microclimates. You sort of find the coolest part of your yard, the hottest part of your yard, and figure out what works best. Well, I appreciate you all joining in on our walks in the morning. Meg really enjoys those, and actually, I enjoy it too. And I tell you, having a dog to walk with makes all the difference in the world. Something about having a companion, a dog. All right, it's definitely cooking. We're probably gonna need a hot pad for that lid. See how we're doing here. All right, never pays to be impatient. I've turned this pan down really low because I really don't want to overcook the shrimp. But the shrimp is looking pretty good right about now. In fact, I think I will actually cut the shrimp into 3 chunks since these are one of the larger shrimps. Let's go ahead and do that. So never be afraid if you make a mistake when you're doing a cooking project. You can usually save it or go a different way. So for example, tonight, a mistake was not getting that quinoa going before we started the video. I really like to cook with whatever food I have on hand. I mean, don't get me wrong, at the store, but we had celery, we had paddle cactus, we had onions, and we had shrimp, and we had quinoa. So this is going to be something, and our orange juice and our chili sauce. So this is going to be something that's relatively simple but super delicious. You check out my videos. I have a lot of videos on canning. I make all kinds of sauces. In Alaska, we made sauces from the wild berries, and some of the sauces that I make here, I've actually adapted from those recipes. I've had pretty good success with substituting apricots for rose hips, for barbecue sauce and other things. Patience, patience, patience.